We start this hour in North America. Donald Trump has filed a $10 billion lawsuit against the Wall Street Journal's parent company, Dow Jones, and its owner, Rupert Murdoch. He says they lied by publishing a fake story that claimed he sent a bawdy birthday note to Jeffrey Epstein in 2003. The US president claimed that the publication slandered him and violated libel laws. Trump said the note, which the paper reported he had sent for Epstein's 50th birthday, is fake. He called the article false, malicious and defamatory. The Justice Department has also asked the judge to unseal grand jury materials from the 2019 Epstein case, calling it a matter of public interest. The department is also seeking transcripts from the case against Epstein's associate, Ghislaine Maxwell. Trump supporters are demanding more transparency in regards to the case. Lawmakers from both parties are also backing a move to force the release of more Epstein-related documents. Well, joining us on the programme is David K. Johnston, a Trump biographer who's joining us live from New York. David, thank you ever so much for taking the time to speak with us. Firstly, can I get your initial thoughts on the announcement of this lawsuit? Of course, in the wake of political instability surrounding Epstein and these reported files.
Well, Trump has found that suing media companies which have either non-media interests or need approval of the Trump administration for various transactions has been very lucrative. So far, he's collected about $66 million from them. In this case, however, against Dow Jones and the Wall Street Journal, he's not going to get anywhere because Rupert Murdoch, the controlling owner, was told by Trump directly, if you run this story, we will sue you, and he went ahead. And what that tells you is they have the letter. They probably have other documents supporting this. And truth in America in libel actions is a 100% defense. It's a terrible defense to have to bring, but it is a absolute defense.
Yes, David, let's look now at, of course, the ramifications of this. Donald Trump's administration spoke early in their second term about releasing these Epstein files. Fast forward some months and it's now they don't exist. So how bad of a mark is this on Donald Trump? And given the fact as well that even his own supporters, his MAGA supporters, who we know are fiercely loyal, now questioning the president.
Well, this is the first significant crack we've seen within the MAGA crowd, who are about 20% of Americans. That's Donald Trump's base. The effort to unseal grand jury proceedings, which will have nothing to do with Trump. Those were about indicting Epstein, the predator, and Ghislaine Maxwell, his procurer. They weren't about Trump. A judge will no doubt refuse to release them or release most of them, but it doesn't matter. This is a ruse. What matters are the records that were obtained during the search warrants executed at Epstein's properties. These include extensive lists of young women, underage women, by name, who were sex trafficked. It includes people with whom there were over 4,500 wire transfers involving money. Some of them were young women, presumably paid off, and others presumably were men who paid to have sex with underage girls. What we don't know is if Donald Trump is among those men. We know that Trump and Epstein were very close by their own accounts, and we know that Donald has engaged in a number of activities involving young women that weren't criminal but are suggestive. For example, walking in on, by his account, naked 14-year-old girls at a beauty pageant he owned, where he claimed he had the right to inspect the pageant.
David, do you think this could have any impact and influence on politics in the United States? With midterms upcoming, still a little way away, but we have, of course, seen somewhat of a shift in popularity for the Trump administration. Do you think that this Epstein case and conversation could also be a deciding factor when Americans head to the polls?
Well, the polling is a long ways off the fall of next year. I think the importance of this story will be in whether it keeps going or it dies. If this story has legs, it's very bad for Donald Trump. And the financial records and the apparently photographs and videotapes that Epstein had, according to court records, showing various of his grown male wealthy clients with underage girls would be very damaging. I don't think Trump can survive as president if evidence appears that shows he is a serial child rapist. Now, there's no evidence of that right now. Let me be very clear. Trump hasn't been charged with any crime. But the obvious question is, since you promised you were going to make all of this public and said there are these files, why did you then say, oh, they were created by Obama and Biden, and then say there are no records? Clearly, it's the cover-up that is going to be the problem, and even the MAGA crowd are not going to support someone if there is evidence that comes out that Donald Trump is a repeated child rapist.
David, I want to end by looking at the state of US politics at the moment. Of course, Trump has sort of forged his own journey, potential conversations that he's had in the public domain, often contrasting and potentially conflicting with his story, sometimes changing on topics. I'm thinking geopolitics as well, not just US domestic politics. But do you think this is a new age of politics in the United States, also given the influence of somebody like Elon Musk, who's now announced his own new party? Is this a forward direction that you think we won't be turning back from in regards to top, powerful, rich men in the United States in these positions like president?
Well, you've outlined the key issue here, and that is the American democracy over, or can it be revived? Now, I was the first person to write about Donald becoming president, and that was in 1988, 37 years ago. Donald believes that he should run the country and the whole world. In fact, he said that just a month ago, 14 years after I said he believes that. And Donald is right now America's dictator. He hasn't fully consolidated power, but he declared on February 26th that anything he does that he says is saving the country means that it's lawful. He is engaged in a whole variety of behaviors to try and seize total control of the country. He hasn't consolidated all of his power, but I warned people in 2015 that if Trump got to the White House, he wouldn't leave peacefully, and lo and behold, January 6th, the effort to overthrow the government by Donald Trump 4 years ago. So this is a major issue here, whether America will continue to be a democracy or not, whether the rule of law will be extinguished in the United States. And Trump himself has talked about using American troops against American citizens and deporting, as he calls them, the homegrowns. That is, taking people like me who are native-born Americans and therefore citizens and removing us from the country because he dislikes us. And, you know, we will have to see how effective his critics are, whether he continues to have support from Republicans who've knuckled under to him because of the influence in primary elections, that is, party elections for nomination to office. Everyone who has stood up to Trump in a serious way who's a Republican has been voted out in primary.